Hey guys, this is PODFIC, and today we're going to be reading 5 times Jason Todd didn't swear and 1 time Bruce did by Boy the Boy But Derogatory. This is Chapter 6. Sure, Bruce cussed sometimes. It wasn't something that he thought much about. He's a vigilante. He's a billionaire. Why would he give two thoughts about swearing? Once he had kids, it began to change. He began swearing less, watching himself around Dick, Jason, Tim, Steph, Duke. No matter how old they were, no matter what cusses they'd heard, some of them didn't swear on principle because they'd only heard it in tense and difficult and traumatic situations. When Damien showed up especially, Bruce wanted to make sure that whatever he could do to let the kid be a kid would happen. So he cusses less. Jason, though, he doesn't. It's noticeable. Bruce didn't think it would be, but profanities get tossed around as much as a dandelion spreads seeds. Excessively. He lets it go at first, because he lets a lot of things go with Jay. He's worried that he'll run away, worried that every step he's taking is pushing too far, or that every word he says will spark an argument. Walking on eggshells, he believes the term is. Bruce isn't sure what he's doing wrong, but other people seem to be, especially when it comes to Jay. Hell, Alfred's shaken his head more times than Bruce can count. And the cold dinner was extremely petty. All he'd done was ask Jason what Bruce had done poorly, and Jason had yelled at him and stormed off as if, well, he doesn't know. As if Jay had already told him what was wrong. And he was expected to know. Maybe that wasn't so far off. One day it's the killing, the next is his death. But most of it comes down to the memorial, the shrine in the Batcave. Bruce had always been unwilling to compromise on it, unwilling to let anyone change it, or touch it, or ruin it, or destroy it. The memory of all of that had happened, the son he had lost. Bruce doesn't know what to do with it, and it scares him. So, naturally, he holds on stubbornly to it. Who he is, an emotionally sound person who doesn't dress up as a bat every night. No, he doesn't bring up the cussing, until one day on patrol he's working with Damien. Well, they're both climbing up a building, scaling it using their grappling hooks, and suddenly he sees Damien slip, and out rings the most horrible string of curses he's ever heard. Sure, he hears his youngest son scream, "Fucker!" at the top of his lungs, and it stings his ears so terribly it almost makes him stumble on his way to help. Damien makes it out fine, of course, but once they reach the roof, he gets a lecture. "You aren't allowed to use that language, Damien." "But father, you allow Todd to swear even worse than that." Jason that is different." "Why?" Damien had asked. And that's how it began. The next time he and Jason got into an argument, Bruce began to turn on his tired dad voice. Jay, I'm serious about this. You're influencing Damien. He thinks he's allowed to use whatever kind of words he wants to because you do too." "Really?" Jason smirked. "How horrible. I'm rubbing off on the little demon brat." "Don't." He sucked a breath in through his teeth before sighing. Jason immediately looked guilty, although Bruce suspected it was more reflex than an actual emotion he felt. "I'm trying to do better with Damien. I want him to be able to have at least some semblance of being a kid." "So you screwed the rest of us? And instead of keeping Damien from being Robin, going out into Gotham every night to beat up criminals and risk of being killed, you want to..." He pauses, tapping a finger against his chin, faux pondering. "You want to not swear around him." Bruce sighs. He knows this is a losing battle. What a hill to die on. "Yes," he answers, bracing himself for the inevitable downfall. Jay goes, "Alrighty then." "What?" "What?" "Oh, shut your mouth," Bruce does. "I'll stop swearing." Jason turns to leave and Bruce calls out to him, "Thank you, Jay." Jason pauses in the doorframe. There's a moment of silence. When Jason finally says something, his voice is low and dangerous. "Don't." And so, it progresses like this. Jason doesn't swear. Not on patrol, not in the manor, not when around Damien, not even when he isn't. He doesn't cuss with Dick. He doesn't cuss with Tim. Not when burnt, or when he stubs his toe, or anything else minorly trivial. He doesn't cuss with Steph, or Duke, or Damien. Not when he's been shot or fighting, or even when his eyes flash green with anger. He doesn't kiss with Alfred, not when he's bleeding out or emotional or crying. It progresses like this. Jason finds new ways to cuss, and the rest of his kids follow. "Hello, Father," Damien greets him one day. Walking past in the hallway, Bruce nods back. "Hey, Bruce." Tim nods, a little later, walking past in the hallway. Bruce says, "Hello, Tim," in response. "Morning, old man," Dick says, winking. Only a couple moments after, Bruce starts to reply before stopping in the hall to glance at his son's retreating figure. Weird. He sees Steph and Duke walking towards him, or rather, towards Dick, and greets them before they get the chance to. "What are you guys up to?" he asks, as casually as possible. "Oh, we're gonna watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine in the Batcave," Duke replies. Steph holds up the blanket in her hand. "Okay," Bruce says slowly. "Enjoy." With that, the two young superiors walk away. It's odd. Very odd. Concerning, even. It isn't until Alfred passes him in the hallway, offering him a similar explanation of the young people all wanting to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine in the Batcave. I'm only going there to make sure there's nothing they need. That Bruce begins to truly worry. He walks a few paces away before starting to walk back to the door. He's already reached for the doorknob when he hears the loud thunk of the front door slamming closed. So he goes the other way. Bruce begins to suspect he's truly losing his mind. When he gets to the front door, Jason is standing in the foyer, not moving. He doesn't look injured, thank God, and Bruce doesn't understand what's happening until he sees Jason turn to move. "Jay, wait." Bruce tries to swallow the lump in his throat that forms whenever Jason is related. "Please." Jason turns around. Closer, Bruce can see that the area around his eyes is puffy. His hair is tousled and his face is scraped. He's not hurt, but there's something wrong. The way he won't make eye contact with Bruce, the way his hands are shaking, is too familiar of the tape Bruce watched of Jason and Alfred in the same place he stands with his son now. But Jay won't trust him enough to be led to the kitchen and looked over. Would he? "Jason," he says, "will you let me lead you to the kitchen so we can sit?" "Whatever, Bruce," is the reply. It isn't a no, he realizes, and walks over to Jason so that he can make sure he won't fall over. He wants to ask if it's okay to touch him, but he doesn't. He just hovers his hand over Jason's back. The two of them sit down on the couch in the living room instead. Jason sinks into the cushion, closing his eyes. "Wait, you don't have a concussion, do you? Do you need to be kept awake?" Jason's eye twitches. "No, I'm fine, Bruce. Not bleeding out, as you can see." "Right." Another uncomfortable silence between the two of them. Their tension hasn't gone away. It won't. "I didn't mean to come here," Jason says as a whisper, and Bruce startles. "I really didn't." "I know," Bruce answers, because he does. Jay never means to come to the manor, but he does. Always. He didn't mean to steal the tires off Bruce's car all those years ago, but he did. And now, here they are. "I ran into Scarecrow." "In Crime Alley?" Bruce asks, his eyebrows raising. Last he'd known, Crane had been in Arkham. Like he's always been reminded, though, Arkham doesn't last long for certain villains. They really need to fix that. "Yeah, well, I ran into him first and sent him back." There's a poignant pause where Jason gulps, as if he needs to feel guilty for not murdering the Scarecrow. "I sent him back, and I went to go look at his warehouse, since he's been working on something, and I was worried it was something new. But it wasn't something new. It was just a regular old fear gas I've been working with since I was 13, and I should have known that something would have gone wrong. My mask, my helmet. It has this gas mask setting because I'm not an idiot, but it wasn't working and something happened and the fear gas got in and..." "Breathe, Jay," Bruce pleads, now kneeling in front of Jason on the couch. Tears have started to pour and Jason hates being so weak all the time now. This is why he didn't mean to come here. He doesn't want to be attached, but he is. Jason breathes. In, out. Then he starts again. "Usually, I see my death," he says, "or the pit. It's always the Joker, of course, no matter what, and..." Jason stops. He hasn't looked Bruce in the eyes once since they walked in. And everyone here. Breathe, Jason. Jason breathes again, in and out. Jay, Bruce says, can I touch you? There's a shaky nod. Bruce puts his hand on his son's knee. I'm here, Jaybird, I'm here. You're sitting on a couch in the manor. Dick, Tim, Damien, Steph, Duke, Alfred, they're all here too, in the Batcave. They're watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine right now. Jason gives another shaky nod. I know you didn't mean to come here, but I'm glad you did. I was scared. I was just scared. I didn't know how to handle it this time. You don't have to handle it alone anymore, Jay, Bruce says. I'm so sorry that you ever had to learn how to. I just wish that you could see that I'm here. Jason's voice breaks. I'm not 6 feet under. I'm not in some glass case in the cave. I'm not gone. I'm here. And I hate that you're still so afraid of me, that you're still idolizing the ideal of Robin. Jason buries his face in his hands, and he's talking through hiccups. You don't want me to cuss around Damien. Okay, I don't. But you're still giving the opportunity for this kid to be murdered. And he might not come back. He shouldn't have to go through dying and coming back. Why are these your priorities? And it's a fight again. Bruce feels like he lost something, but it's not his son. No, his son is sitting here, in the manor, on a couch in the living room. He's alive. Jason is right. He's not 6 feet under, and he's not in a glass case, and he doesn't deserve to be, and neither does Damien. Okay, Bruce says. You are right, Jay. No, he says, cutting his son off. I'm going to show you. Bruce stands up. He ruffles his son's hair before walking out of the room. He starts striding towards the door to the Batcave. He hears Jason calling after him. What are you doing? We can talk more in a minute, Jason. Hold on! Bruce opens the door, and immediately 6 heads turn to face him. Many eyebrows are raised. Holy jack-in-the-box, Batman! What's got you so riled up? Dick asks, draped over the arms of a blackened leather office chair. Tim frowns. We never decided if holy counts as part of a swear, Dick. Yeah, but if we can say crap, I'm pretty sure holy works. Steph shoots back. Bruce grabs a hammer by a nearby table, and that's when the arguing stops for everyone to look back at him. Master Bruce, Alfred says, what is the matter? Jason chooses that moment to walk through the doorway. Now everyone turns to look at him, and Bruce walks towards the glass case, and Jason yells out, Dad, what in the ever-loving Winnie the Pooh honey fantasy are you doing? Jason? The ignored watching party calls. Something I should have done a really long fucking time ago, Bruce Wayne answers. And then he swings the hammer. The whole case shatters. Alfred insists they all move their party out of the Batcave since there's glass to be cleaned up. They all expected that comment to be accompanied by a glare at Bruce, but instead Alfred just smiles at Jason. Softy, they all accuse. The show is switched from Brooklyn Nine-Nine to watching Moana because Damien and Jason know all the words to the songs, and it's entertaining to see them make fools out of themselves. Bruce has informed Jason that it's fine if he stops fake swearing, just so long as he doesn't cuss so much. Jason is not amused by the following discovery. Oh, Jason. He's having trouble switching back. That sucks for you, Jay, Dick says. No one is going to be able to take you seriously, Tim concurs. Shut the frogs, Steph suggests. Fudge, Damien smirks. Edith Franklin, Duke adds. Fuck up, Jason finishes, flicking them all off. Alfred smiles. Bruce turns to him. How come Jay still gets cookies when he swears, but I don't? Because it's less endearing when you do it, Alfred answers easily. Alright guys, and that is the end of 5 times Jason Todd didn't swear and 1 time Bruce did by Where the Boy But Derogatory. I hope you guys liked it, and in the next video.